Lord forgive me for this trap shit. Sergeant Smack make it backflip. Telly Hank did with the action. With the vital speaking Spanish. Frank Matthews how I vanish. Poof. Came back like I'm King Tut. Gold BBS is on a beamer. When Fat Cat was 10 queens up. Ball off the profit, not the re-up. Fly like Puerto Rican Jesus. Uptown like I'm Baby May. Just caught a touchdown from the bay.
It's just sad that these feuds that are going on, people have no respect for life.
Sources tell WJZ this was retaliation, part of a rivalry between big drug organizations. The mayor lashed out this morning.
This was premeditated. This was not a random act. So when you talk about premeditated, people knew what happened. So it's their responsibility to speak up, to think about that pregnant woman who was shot, that baby who was shot, other people who were shot. It's their responsibility. It's people who knew what happened. They need to speak up.
Police in Maryland say they're searching for 2 teens abducted during a brazen home invasion Tuesday. Authorities say the abductors broke into this suburban Baltimore house, tied up 10 people, and made off with 2 brothers.
This is a complete surprise.
Police issued an Amber Alert for the 16 and 17-year-olds. Authorities say this incident began around 3 a.m. Tuesday and lasted about 8 hours. They say they found the vehicle the 2 were allegedly taken in, and they say they still have questions for the others inside the home about what took place.
The victims at this time are less than cooperative. However, we are trying to attain as much information as we can about what's really happened here.
Police say the home appears to be little more than a flop house. Neighbors say they see people coming in and out of there all the time. Rita Foley, The Associated Press.
An alleged Baltimore drug kingpin who was the target of this mass shooting last summer is now in the hands of federal authorities tonight. Good evening, I'm Kelly Swoop. Stephen Blackwell is charged with conspiracy to distribute heroin. Investigators have been pursuing him since at least 2003. ABC 2 News' Christian Schaefer's here with that story tonight. Chris?
Kelly, tonight the Baltimore City Police Commissioner told me that on a scale of 1 to 10, the importance of Stephen Blackwell's arrest was almost a 10. Police say he ran an unparalleled drug distribution network, and in addition to the damage caused by the drugs, the violence spawned by that network was a constant threat on the streets of Baltimore. 12 people shot in East Baltimore, including a pregnant woman and a 2-year-old girl back in July of last year. The target was Stephen Blackwell. Police say he escaped with a minor gunshot wound. It was a vivid example of the collateral damage caused by what investigators say was Blackwell's massive heroin distribution network.
His role in our local crime certainly had major implications.
Tonight, Stephen Blackwell is in federal custody along with 2 alleged female accomplices, 34-year-old Tahira Carter and 24-year-old Joy Edison. Carter and Edison had their initial court hearings in Baltimore today. Blackwell will be transferred back here from New York. Prosecutors listed his current home as Elkton in Cecil County. They say their investigations follow alleged criminals and their money.
People who are involved in drug conspiracies generate profits that they use to buy assets, maybe homes, maybe cars, maybe businesses, and wherever those assets are located, we pursue them as part of our investigation.
Blackwell and the 2 female suspects are charged with conspiracy to distribute more than 1 kilogram of heroin. There may have been much more than that, but 1 kilogram carries with it the possibility of a life sentence in federal prison, and there may be even more suspects.
All these investigations go into a central base of intelligence, and we try to build other investigations on top of them.
The indictment dates the conspiracy back to the year 2003, 7 years of what police call drug dealing and violence that for Stephen Blackwell appears to be over now.
This is a man who, his criminality was notorious.
Now, the U.S. Attorney Rod Rosenstein said the case is a good example of cooperation between federal authorities, state prosecutors, and the city police department. No court days have been set for any of the suspects. Rosenstein told me, though, he does not expect much difficulty in having Stephen Blackwell transferred back here to Maryland from New York, where he was arrested and is being held right now. Christian Schaefer, ABC 2 News.
You would never truly know how dangerous the city of Baltimore is unless you live there or happen to visit, or maybe even look at the statistics. So for the last 15 years, or since 2015, the city of Baltimore had recorded at least 300 homicides. And in the year of 2022, when the city will record 333, it will be slightly less than the 344 recorded by the entire state of Florida, and more than the entire state of Wisconsin, Arizona, Kentucky, Oklahoma, New Jersey, Nevada, D.C., Oregon, Minnesota, Massachusetts. I could go on, and I'm not even going to name the 16 states that had less than 100. And in 2008, the city would see a drug war involving one of its biggest drug kingpins, Stephen Blackwell, who by 2008 would be the leader of a multi-million-dollar heroin operation. Stephen Blackwell will find himself in a war with several associates after they had gotten the idea that he had overcharged them for some work, essentially the same thing that got Rich Porter killed. The war was sparked on April 1st, 2008, when the brothers of Stephen Blackwell, Stephon Blackwell, who was 16 at the time, and Sterling Blackwell, then 15, was kidnapped from their home on the 600 block of Plymouth Road, just a few miles west of the city line. 6 masked gunmen would burst into the house and hold 10 people hostage, including the 2 boys, their mother, and Stephen Blackwell Jr. The group would be held for 8 hours before gunmen would eventually steal a car. As they would flee the scene with the 2 brothers, the group would fire shots at Stephen Blackwell. An Amber Alert would be issued for the 2 teens and spark a statewide manhunt. Just 3 days later, on April 4th, 2008, Stephen Blackwell would get his brothers back and immediately bring them to the Townsend Police Headquarters. According to the police, the teens wouldn't say where they had been or who had taken them or what happened while they were gone. Police would say that they wouldn't be able to determine if a ransom had been paid or not, but it would be alleged that Stephen Blackwell would pay $500,000 for the release of his brothers. And just 7 days after their release, on April 11th, 2008, the violence would begin, starting with a triple shooting on the 1700 block of West Lexington Street that would kill a 25-year-old by the name of Anthony Lazard. At the time, police would suspect the shooting was linked to the kidnapping. And just 10 days later, on April 21st, 2008, while Lazard was being laid to rest, gunshots would erupt at his funeral that would be held at a West Baltimore church on the 500 block of North Stricker Street. During the gunfire, a 24-year-old by the name of Michael Ellerby, who was one of 2 men shot, would lose his life. Less than a month later, it would go to another level on May 15, 2008, when a quadruple shooting would occur outside of the Allen Family and Appliance Store on the 2300 block of East North Avenue. 27-year-old Omar Spriggs, 52-year-old Tony Allen, and 35-year-old Terrell Allen would be some of the victims. The shooting would also injure Tony Allen's son, as well as Omar Spriggs' brother. Documents to the arrests connected to the shooting would show that authorities would believe that the abduction of the 2 teens back in April involved Terrell Allen, Omar Spriggs, and a 29-year-old Baltimore man by the name of Demetrius Rich. The shooting would continue, and just a few months later, on July 25, 2008, a 23-year-old by the name of Quentin Hogan, believed to be connected to the Blackwells, along with a 21-year-old named Donald Rogers, would be shot and killed inside of an SUV on Wambash Avenue. Just 4 days later, on July 29th of 2008, a 17-year-old by the name of Troy Wilson would be fatally shot on the 1200 block of Orleans Street while putting items inside of a car. According to the Baltimore Police Department, they believed that Troy Wilson was an associate of the Blackwells. It would get more vicious on February 1st, 2009, when the group would continue to strike back at the Blackwells, abducting 26-year-old Eric Pendergrass. He would be suffocated to death, and his body would be found floating in the Papsco River. According to police sources, Pendergrass was also an associate of Stephen Blackwell. The finale would be a brazen daytime shooting in the middle of the summer on July 26th of 2009, when gunmen will open fire on a cookout, injuring 12 people, including Stephen Blackwell Jr., as well as a pregnant woman. The shooting would make national news and would be the incident that would put Stephen Blackwell Jr. on the radar of the federal government. He would be arrested not long after, charged with money laundering and operating a heroin conspiracy. Looking at life behind bars, he would cop out to a 20-year sentence, admitting in his plea agreement that he was the leader of a conspiracy to distribute heroin in Maryland, New York, as well as the Dominican Republic since December of 2003, confessing to the authorities that he had made millions distributing kilograms of heroin, explaining that he would obtain the heroin from New York for $70,000 per kilogram. The heroin would then be diluted and sold from shops and outlets operated by Blackwell in the Pimlico area of Baltimore City, but mainly on West Patterson Park Avenue. Now, we all heard it before, but this is going to be one of those stories that prove it to you. If you getting money, when the violence start to come around, them people going to come right behind it. Y'all stay straight. Y'all make sure y'all hit the red bell and subscribe button right under this video so you know when this real trill spill shit is dropping. Y'all get in the comment box below. Y'all let me know what cities we need to go to, what stories we need to tell, what I missed, what I got wrong, what I need to cover, all of that. Y'all hit me directly, Instagram, Twitter, POP_A_LOT. And until the next time, y'all know the breakdown. Salute the almighty MOBB.